Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Progressive Overload Podcast. Have you ever thought about strengthening multiple areas of your life at the same time? Then you've come to the right place. Our goal is to help you identify ways that you might need a progressive overload to break through those plateaus and keep you growing.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Progressive Overload Podcast. I'm Adam Lazarine, and I'm here with Tyson Burwell.
Yes, sir. The sick.
Typhoid Tyson.
Well,
Joe, telling you, man.
And Joe Copeland.
What's up, guys?
How is it going, everybody? We are glad that you are here today. Tyson, we're glad that you're joining us because you have been under the weather.
I have. I sat too close to Joe on the last
last podcast. I was coughing all over him.
Yeah, hacking all over me. Probably got some spit on my mic still.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, we need to invest in
Typhoid Joe struck.
Yeah, that's
Tyson.
true. Lysol probably would be good for us at this point.
Yeah, that needs to be part of our budget.
Yeah.
Maybe one of those glass.
Yeah, we need a glass
that,
divider.
The little divider between us.
That would be perfect.
Typhoid.
I know. Dude, it's been rough in our family for the last 2 weeks. We all had fever and throwing up, diarrhea, all of the above.
Thank you for sharing
Sounds
that.
like Tyson got it all too.
That's been my life. Oh, right after, I felt it coming on during Thanksgiving. You know, I had one of those coughs that was real deep, and then you could kind of taste a little bit of it.
Oh, yeah.
You're like,
something's up.
It's coming.
I'm about to get sick.
Bring it. All
And then
right.
Friday hit me.
It's the first time
hard.
I've ever seen you sick since we started working together.
Yeah. Well, I try to be a healthy person and everything else, and I think I've got a good immune system, and I think that's when I do get sick, it's like the mother virus.
It's the mother.
It's like the boss level virus.
You struck the mother load of viruses.
It just comes and it just wrecks me.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's not cool, but it's one of those things that we all have to deal with. And so I'm glad that you're joining us today, whether you're sick or under the weather or just joining us for the first time. We're glad to have you as a part of our show. Let me tell you something that I've been thinking about as we're pushing up close to Christmas. It's coming. And one of the things that is biblical about the things that we do in Christmas, is the idea of gift giving.
Yeah.
That is biblical. What is not biblical is going into debt while gift giving. Okay?
Yeah.
And so I want to make that distinction right out of the gate here, because one of the things we're going to talk about today is living healthy. Tyson, you say you try to live healthy, and you pretty much are healthy. But you have to do that on a budget.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And everybody understands and knows that their budget is different than the next person.
Right.
So that word in and of itself has to be defined within your own context.
Exactly.
And so, but we're going to give you some helpful tips today as to what to do and how to live on a budget and do it healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to that. So before we do that, is there anything else that we need to just throw out there? Just before we
just throw out there.
just throw it out there, throw it up on the wall like spaghetti and hope it sticks.
Did you see that the Lizard King came out? And
Lizard King?
Oh, not the Lizard King, the
Oh.
Liver King.
Oh.
I
Wow.
just said the Lizard King. The Liver King came out, and finally, it was leaked that he's officially on steroids.
Oh, yeah, man.
It's storming social media right now. Y'all ever seen the Liver King on social media?
I have not.
I have definitely.
He's freaking yoked.
Yeah, he's super jacked, but he constantly pushes out this primal living kind of program that he puts out there,
Right.
and he eats a lot of liver and then
raw meat,
organ meats, testicles, like a bunch of primal foods. But the problem, I don't have a problem with him being steroids. The problem is lying about it and saying that you can obtain this type of physique and body by just lifting and eating this certain style that he's pushing. And of course, he's got a bunch of products that he sells too. It's a charlatan.
Yeah, he made so much money off of that lie. That here's these supplements that I take to look like this. Here and he never mentioned anything about being a steroid user.
Well, he denied it,
and he denied it
several times.
Yeah, and so that's storming the media right now.
Yeah, the health and
he's not natural.
But at the same time, if you really believed he was,
it's so true.
I hope this is eye-opening for you.
Right.
I hope you realize you put everybody through that filter from now on.
You have to.
All these superstars, all of these movie stars, man, there's too much money to not be on steroids to have that look.
So true.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys threw that out there because I would not have thrown that out
You're
there.
gonna have to go look them up.
Yeah, because I don't know. I live under a rock when it comes to social media and stuff. And so I'll have to go check that out.
He
And
looks exactly how you think he'll look.
okay.
Just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a kind of a greasy
Most of his-
orange dude
Yeah.
with long hair and long
Just
beard.
doesn't look like he's showered in the last
sweating
year.
all the time.
It's like Donald Trump.
Just way jacked
Okay.
Yeah.
version.
You said orange man, and so I thought, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna.
That's funny that's how people dig him. is,
Yeah.
Oh, he's just a Cheeto man, you know.
Cheeto man. Yeah, not quite as Cheeto.
No, okay.
Yeah, more natural tan, I would think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll
His
leave.
Instagram is full of him just eating raw meat with blood just running down his
Interesting.
chest, and that's how he made his millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna jump into that diet
No.
just real quick.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks for throwing that out there.
You're welcome.
And if we're talking about health, I don't know if raw meat is the actual
I
healthiest
don't
way
think
to
that's
go.
the answer.
But let's talk about some healthy living, and
Yeah.
let's talk about how to do it on a budget. So,
Yeah, let's do it.
is eating healthy more expensive than eating not healthy?
Absolutely not.
What?
Yeah.
You're telling me it's a lie?
It's a lie. It's a lie. I hear it all the time.
You got some splaining to do.
I don't have enough. I don't have enough money to eat healthy like you guys.
That's a
so.
big excuse I hear
Yeah.
a lot. Or that's just one of the ones that they throw out there.
Yeah.
It's just too expensive and I've got a family to feed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if I'm comparing a McDonald's value menu to what you're sitting there calling a healthy meal, possibly.
Well.
But what is it costing you though in the end?
I know whenever I was in college, broke and poor, and still lifting quite a bit because I was still competing.
Right.
Man, I would go out and I would buy bags of chicken breast for like $5,
Right.
for a huge amount of chicken breast.
5 pounds.
Yeah. I'd go to the frozen vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
and get. They're like $1 for like
Super
5
cheap.
servings of veggies, mixed veggies or whatever you want, and then a bag of potatoes and some rice.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make 1,000 different meals out of that too, just depending on what
Absolutely.
seasonings and condiments you use.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think at the end of the day, my meals were like 60 cents a piece
Yeah.
for a serving.
Yeah. When you break it down, it's not expensive at all.
Okay, so one of the things you just touched on is getting into the frozen food section
Right.
and into that market.
Mm-hmm.
Can you still do healthy lifestyle and live in the frozen food section of the store? Because when you think about health food, you think about the produce section, right?
Right.
Why is it so different, and is it that much different when you're thinking about doing it on a budget?
My thing, I grew up out in the country, and fresh produce was just so hard to keep in the house. I mean, it goes bad in like 3 days, depending on what, I'm talking like a bag of spinach or say.
Sure.
And not that I wouldn't buy it. I still recommend buying it. But frozen was just easier to keep was the reason I went with frozen. But as far as staying out of the frozen section, I think what I would say is staying away from the pre-processed frozen meals.
Exactly.
Okay, and
Yeah.
explain that to somebody that doesn't know what that looks like.
The lean cuisines.
Exactly
But that
right.
says healthy. It says lean. It says Weight Watchers.
Yep.
It says pick another. I don't know.
Right. I think of like the manwich.
Yeah.
There's what are they called? There's the
Hungry Man.
The hungry man.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I think about when you're staying away from the frozen section. But frozen vegetables are a wonderful way to get great vegetables, and they're a lot of times, once they're thawed out, they're just as fresh as fresh produce.
And the macros are the same. The nutritions are still there.
Right.
Okay, and
Right.
so let's compare that to a canned vegetable. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's kind of the same thing. It's just been frozen. A canned vegetable's been processed in a way that it's going to
Sure.
stay,
Right.
fresh in that can for I don't know, 100 years.
Right.
From my understanding, the main difference between those two would be the amount of salt that's used in canning.
True.
Which I'm not one that really counts my sodium intake too
Right.
much,
Yeah.
and I don't think that's super important. It can be if you're competing and trying to cut weight and all that, but for me, it's taste.
Yeah.
I just prefer frozen vegetables and frozen fruit over canned.
Okay, so maybe it's been a while for you if you're listening, but check out the frozen food section because definitely going to be nicer to your budget.
Sure.
It's going to be just as tasty, and it's going to be you're going to be able to keep it longer. If you choose to do something different and don't need that vegetable, throw it back in the freezer.
Yep.
It'll be great the next day or however long.
There's like this hierarchy that of importance when it comes to the foods that we choose to buy or eat. And so it kind of starts with, okay, my most important umbrella when it comes to my health, whether I'm trying to lose weight or gain weight or muscle, is overall calories. That's calories is my number one factor of importance. Second, then we can talk about after we have our calories in check, now my macros. Let's look at my macros. Am I eating enough protein to put on muscle? Am I eating too many carbs that are spiking my insulin and stuff like that? And then after macros, then that's when we talk about the what's important after that is my food quality. So, whether we talk about fresh or frozen or stuff like that. And then at the very, very bottom of that is when, okay, I have all three of those levels in check. Now I can sit here and worry about, is it organic? Is it non-GMO? Is it free range? Is it grass-fed? Blah, blah, blah. All of these things that most people worry about way before they even have their calories in check or that they have their macros in check. So that's the biggest misconception out there is when somebody's like, I want to eat healthy, but I can't afford going to buy organic spinach every time I go because it's $2.50 more than the non-organic spinach. And so that's kind of the biggest misconception out there is the whole organic, non-GMO, free range, grass-fed, blah, 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 blah.
Okay, so let me just throw this out there because when I look at this hierarchy of importance, I agree with you. It's one way to look at it, but I'll tell you what supersedes all of those things is cost. Yeah. When I go to the grocery store or I'm shopping online, because I just did it today, when I'm looking at those things to put in my cart, almost if I don't have it turned on, I'm going to filter it with my own eyeballs by price alone.
Sure.
And then once I figure out, I don't need this $15 item, I can get the $10 item or the $5 item, and it'd be similar.
Exactly.
I'm a bottom shelf shopper, even though I'm one of the taller people in the store. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah,
because all of the things that are, marketing, it puts it all at your eye level, and it's usually the name brand stuff. It's more expensive. I go to the bottom shelf first.
Yep.
And so then I begin to look at price, and then I look at all of these other things that you just listed off.
Right.
If I'm watching, my caloric intake or my macros. So
that's good.
To your point too, a lot of these what are they? The words, these big pop buzzwords. That's what I was looking for. Organic and super healthy and all superfoods and all these things. Most of the time, it is just a marketing ploy.
100%.
Anyway.
Yeah.
There's nothing different a lot of times between regular chicken and the organic free range chicken.
Right.
They say there is. They say, well, what is free range? Well, you find out later that's just a definition that means that chicken has like 6 more inches of space.
Exactly.
It's something.
Literally.
It's ridiculous.
The testing for that is so minute. Like, they got 30 minutes of outdoor time that day instead of,
Right.
And if you morally feel that okay, I only want to support chickens that lived on a farm, that's fine. I'm not going to judge your morals, but if you're going to sit here and say that I'm healthier than you because I only eat free range versus regular, then that's a lie. That's I'm never going to judge somebody based on their morals. Like vegans, the vegans choose not to eat meat because they morally do not agree with the mistreatment of animals.
Sure.
Okay, I can support that if that's something that you are morally supporting. But if if you think you're better than us or healthier than us because we choose to eat animal protein, anyways.
Yeah, you can go down a whole nother rabbit hole with that argument.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you trying to be careful with it. I was watching you.
Oh yeah. Oh, I could go off if I wanted to.
No, so let's get away from chicken and vegetables for a moment, because one of the things that I do not do is buy fruit from the frozen section.
Yeah.
Okay, and to me, I don't know if it's the taste or if it's the consistency or if it's just the fact that I have to thaw it and then do something with it.
Sure.
Right.
Because I don't make a lot of smoothies, and I know it's good for that.
To me, that's like all they're good for.
I've done it
agreed.
like that, but so you say it's good for smoothies, and you agree?
And yogurt. Like I like good frozen yogurt or frozen blueberries.
Yeah.
Or strawberries on my yogurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, all I'm thinking about is like thawed frozen strawberries,
Mushy.
and it's just there's nothing to it that says strawberry.
No.
If you're gonna mash it up and do something with it and make jam or something,
Sure.
that's fine.
Yeah.
So what are some other tips for that with fruit?
Yeah, buy in season is a big one, because if you're going to sit here and try to buy a watermelon in December, you're going to have to pay a premium for that because of supply and demand, because they're not in season. So be very wary of that if you're trying to cut budget. Buy fruits that are fresh and in season. Yeah.
I would say also look for sales. That's another thing.
Oh, absolutely.
So many people get away from it these days. But I remember my mom, man, she was a coupon clipper.
Yeah.
And she'd make us go get all of the magazines or the newspapers from different stores and stuff. And yeah. But she'd save a lot of money.
We did that too growing up.
Yeah.
And we still, not necessarily clip coupons, but we do look for sales and deals.
Sure.
And even my kids, when we're in the grocery store, they'll look at it and go, nope.
Yeah.
They already know that Dad's going to say no. And so that's fine.
Right.
One of the things I was thinking about is here in Texas, to me, the further south you get, the better the produce gets. Is that fair?
It's true a lot of times.
And so I don't know where you may be listening to our podcast today. Maybe you're in a different state, maybe in a different country.
Right.
But wherever, think about the fruit that you're going to get and how far it has to travel in the truck to get to the store.
Yeah.
And you may not even have ever thought about that, but it does matter when it comes to at least the taste and how good it is going to keep.
Yeah.
Because if it's already 2 weeks old by the time it's to you,
Right.
then you're already behind that.
I have a friend who owns a massive peach farm pretty close to us, and they supply peaches to all the major grocers around here. And he explained to me kind of the process of how that works, and it's insane. And I'll probably butcher this a little bit, but I'll kind of go through it. So say, and these aren't specifics, but say he sells a first load to one of the higher end stores, so they'll get first option from his batch. He'll sell them. Say it's like a Central Market or something like that. And then 2 weeks later, he goes back to that store and he buys back the peaches that weren't sold for pennies on the dollar from them to get them off of their shelves so they can have fresh fruit. And then he takes that batch and gives them and goes and sells those to the Walmart down the road.
Yeah.
And then same thing, a week later, he goes back, buys them again for pennies on the dollar. And then that's when he gets them to the cash saver, and then the Lowe's, where we are, and stuff like that. And so some strawberries that you might have bought from maybe I hate to say a lower end grocery store, those have likely sat on the shelves at higher end stores for weeks.
Yeah,
that's crazy to me that he can just sit there and buy the same things and sell the same batch over and over and over.
I don't know. To me, as Americans, we're so fortunate, man.
Oh yeah,
just the abundance that we can choose to not use that.
I know.
There's so much food that goes to waste here.
Oh yeah, it's sickening how much food is wasted.
Yeah, I've seen our local grocery store at times just throwing away stuff in the dumpster, because the food is out of date finally.
Sure.
Right. So in-season fruit, look for sales.
Here's another little deal, though.
Yeah?
You'd be surprised how much money you actually make and have in your budget when you cut out buying Pop-Tarts and buying Little Debbie snacks.
Oh, absolutely.
And buying all the other little junk and buying the TV dinners and the pre-processed box lunches and box meals. Suddenly if you start just moving your budget around, you'll find that, hey, it's a lot cheaper to cook at home.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can make more more meals out of the things that you cook.
Right.
You know, you take a pound of ground beef and cook it, or, you know, whatever, turkey or whatever you're doing, and you cook it and you turn it into, you know, some kind of a meal.
Exactly.
Then you have a meal that day. Then you probably will have leftovers. Then you'll have another, you know, you could split it and do something else.
Right.
It just, there's a thousand different things you can do. And so that's a good point.
Yeah.
One of the things I like to do when I'm looking at the grocery store, and especially in the meat section, is look for a cheaper cut of meat.
Right.
I know, and I don't buy a whole lot of steaks, but I know you can do that pretty easily.
Sure.
You know, with steak, that's the one I think about the most, because I'm not going to get like a cheaper cut of chicken. You know, really.
Well, thighs.
Yeah,
chicken
that's true.
thighs are so cheap, and they're delicious if you cook them right.
Yep.
And you can buy a 5-pound bag of boneless chicken thighs for half the price of chicken breast.
I see.
And they're delicious.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yep. There's a million different recipes up there for any cut of meat you get any day. Like that's the other thing, is there's so much variety.
Yeah.
I love barbecue and like chicken thighs. Delicious.
Yeah. So when I get tired of
sauce.
chicken, my first go-to is usually a pork chop, because it's cheaper than
it's a cheap cut too.
everything.
Pork tenderloins are one of my favorite things to grab. You can get a whole entire pork tenderloin for $4, and it'll feed my family for 2 meals.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good point too.
Yeah.
Can you? What are some things that we can buy in bulk besides like jalapenos and nacho cheese?
That's the one. I mean, if we go to Sam's Club all the time and buy stuff in bulk, and while it does require a little bit more cash up front, in the long run, you're getting it for much cheaper per unit or per meal. So I always recommend people buy stuff in bulk like that. I mean, obviously you're not going to want to buy unless you just eat tons and tons of fruit, but you don't want to buy tons of fresh fruit in bulk.
Non-perishables.
Yeah,
like
for
your
sure.
canned goods and stuff. I think is a wise choice.
So let me ask this question, and it's probably a personal one. You don't have to answer it, but do you guys have more than one refrigerator at your house, or more than one freezer in your home?
We have an upright, and then we have one chest freezer.
Okay.
That's because every year we get a third of a cow, and so that's a whole other thing we could talk about.
Buying in bulk.
Buying in bulk, yeah. Oh, yeah. There we go. So once a year we get a third of a cow, and it feeds my family beef the entire year.
Yeah.
And it's really not that much.
No, well, so that's the other thing. You know, when we first started talking about it, like, how many calories does your dollar buy? How many grams of protein does your dollar buy? If you really start breaking it down to like your macros, and quit thinking about, I know this sounds weird, but quit thinking about taste and flavors and all these things, like energy. How much protein, fat, and carbohydrates does your dollar buy? And when you really start breaking it down, you can buy a lot depending on how you stretch that dollar and what products you buy.
I have to stop buying Pop-Tarts.
Pop-Tarts, and that's a sin. I don't know, man. Well, at least one.
Pretty dang good.
One Pop-Tart in the house is okay.
There are some Pop-Tarts in the house, but they go in the kids' lunches, which may or may not be good for the podcast. I don't know.
Oh man, they're so good.
But it's an easy way for me to throw some empty calories in their lunch, and they like it. So
yeah, we always put like just a handful of those little mini marshmallows in Presley's lunchbox, and it makes her day. And then we'll get the food. We'll get her lunchbox back from lunch break, and that's all she ate out of there.
Yeah, the carrots and stuff are still there.
Man,
you mentioned something a while ago about making big meals and having leftovers. That's one thing. Like, people suck at eating leftovers, and I would just want to say, stop being a baby and eat your dang leftovers.
Yeah, I agree.
that's a good way to say that.
Yeah.
I'm the king of leftovers at my house.
Are you? Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a budget friendly thing, or it's just because I grew up doing it, and I like leftovers.
Right.
Like,
I'm the same way. See, my wife doesn't like them, and so I'm just the garbage disposal.
Right.
I just eat all of it.
yeah, I end up doing that sometimes to my detriment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm like, gosh, I'm not gonna let that go to waste, and nobody else is gonna eat it.
Yeah.
And so here I go.
My wife last night made a big, like, 12x9 pan of chicken pot pie.
Oh man.
And so we're gonna be eating on that for a while.
So good.
We did that over the weekend too, just for the record.
Nice.
So you're up, Tyson.
I was sick all weekend.
Well,
so
we don't want to talk about it then.
no meal prep this weekend.
Yeah.
Stop being a baby. I like that.
Stop being a baby.
Eat your leftovers.
I understand some foods are not as good leftover, and I understand. Like, I rarely eat fish leftover. I'll eat a salmon left over, but I had regular shrimp. I usually don't eat those leftovers, but everything else, like, I'll do it.
Some are better left over.
Dude, you know what has changed leftovers for me is the air fryer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The air fryer, it makes it so fresh.
It just, reheats it to how it was. It's like, oh, we just made this.
Yeah.
I need to invest in one of those.
Y'all don't have one?
No, we
So,
do
like,
not.
if you're, I mean, this is terrible for this podcast, but, like, leftover pizza put in the air fryer, heated up in the air fryer, tastes like it's brand new. Like, it got...
Right out of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay. Or the oven.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to
amazing.
do that.
Yeah, the air fryer is great.
Yeah, y'all need to get one for
Sweet.
Christmas.
Man, but to our podcast, man, it's a great way to do veggies and all kinds of other stuff.
Oh, every
too.
time. Yeah, for sure.
You can. It basically takes all the oils and stuff out of a regular fried food.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I mean, you do sweet potatoes or even regular French fries in there, half the amount of fat and pretty much half the amount of calories.
Yeah.
For the same, to me, it tastes the same.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a game changer.
And it's good point. All right. So eat your leftovers, and we're moving right along. Let's talk about fitness on a budget, because we're talking about food on a budget. We got to talk about fitness on a budget.
Yeah.
How do we do that? Because gym memberships are constantly increasing.
Mm-hmm.
Are they not?
It depends.
I'm thinking more of a national level, on a national level.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And kind of one of the more popular trends right now are boutique fitness places that are not feeling the pressure to fill their doors with tons and tons of cheap memberships, and they're increasing their rate and relying on less memberships, and just providing a higher service. And so that's kind of popular right now. But if you're in a big town, you're always going to be able to find a Planet Fitness or a LA Fitness or a Crunch that you can get your basic membership for $9.95. And so as far as gym membership goes, usually there's going to be a place that you can have access to for pretty cheap. Your service might not be great, the equipment might be broken, might be dirty, whatever, but you can have access to it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Something people don't really know is most of the time, and maybe I shouldn't put this out there because I manage a gym, but memberships dues are negotiable.
Blasphemy.
I know.
Wow.
Very few gyms will turn somebody down if you go to them and say, hey, I really want to work out here, but I just don't think I can afford it. Is there anything you can do for me?
Yeah.
And you're almost always going to be able to work something.
Now, I used to work at a fitness place, and I understand that because we would do things like that, but it would be on an interim basis. It's not like a forever type deal.
Right.
We're going to let you do this for 6 months, and then we're going to revisit this.
Right.
And so what typically would happen is if they were, conditioned to come to the gym and work out, they would realize, I really like this, and I can't live without it, and so I'm going to redo my budget to make sure I can. And so that's kind of the deal. But don't, just go back to them. And most, like you said, most of the fitness places will have some sort of grace or some sort of leniency.
Exactly.
And maybe you can work that out to work it out on your budget.
A lot of the times at a gym I worked at in Abilene, we would have people who would say, I'll pay this much and I'll vacuum your floors twice a week or whatever. And they get their free membership or a discounted membership, and they come in and they grab the vacuum and they get under the treadmills and blah, blah, blah. And that's their dues. And so, if you want it that bad, there's options.
Yeah, that's pretty common at MMA gyms too.
Yeah.
And in fact, I've been that guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Whenever I was first starting out, all my money was trying to go to travel and trying to get there and then pay dues. And finally I had to go to my coach. It's like, hey, I can't afford it. I got to quit. He's like, you ain't quitting.
Yeah.
Go take that trash out, mop the mats when we're done. We're good.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So like if you're a part of any kind of MMA or jiu-jitsu school or anything like that, and it's tough like that, talk to your instructor. A lot of them are poor and have been there too.
Right. Exactly.
So
yeah, that's the thing. and just like in our fitness journey, people have been where you are.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody started out where they are today.
Right.
That's a journey to get there. And so the same way with your budget, fitness on a budget and food on a budget, Not everybody makes as much as they did.
It helps to be well liked though too.
Yeah.
If you're a nice dude and people like being around you and stuff, you can get
exactly.
You can get a bone throw your way. But if you're the stinky guy and no one really wants you around,
that's very true.
You might not get anything.
Yeah, and we're not talking about your hygiene at all.
Yeah, just your personality, or if you're just hard to be around.
Yeah,
maybe work on that.
Yeah, and I mean if you. You don't have to have a gym membership to be fit. We know that. We talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes all you need is your body weight. But when it's time for you to progressively overload that, Adam knows all about the body weight stuff.
Man, 3 weeks of this stuff.
How's it going, by the way?
I've been on a body weight program for 3 weeks now. This is the third week.
You asked for it.
I did ask for it. And, man, it's been good.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting a fuller range of motion in almost every movement that I do, just because I'm doing my body weight, and I can realize that I'm not going to overstress my joints or do something silly, trying to push too hard. And those last few reps of like push-ups and those kind of things, I'm real close to the ground anyway, so I can just fall and go to failure.
Exactly.
Any of that kind of stuff has been really good.
That's good.
What's the hardest thing you do with your body weight routine right now?
Single leg squats with a band.
With that band.
Yeah. And so I started doing the bird dogs with the band too.
Oh, nice.
So I put it around me. And,
Yeah. Oh, nice.
And so that was a modification I made.
Have you been able to do the bird dogs pretty well? Have you gotten better at it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so it's been good. I'm enjoying it, but I'm ready to get back to some dumbbells and some
weight.
Some weight.
Iron.
Yeah, I'm ready. So I'll be good. I'll be glad to get this week under my belt, because you told me to do 3 weeks, and I will.
You're ready for the new one next week?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get to working on that.
Hit me up. That'd be good.
Speaking of bands, that's a pretty good way to pretty cheap workout.
For sure.
Yeah, piece of equipment that you can afford.
For sure.
And get a pretty good workout in.
Yeah, you can get a set of bands on Amazon for $15.
Yeah.
And you can do pretty much everything. I mean, Adam's whole program right now is bodyweight, bands, and TRX.
Yeah.
And if you have go to Walmart, get the off-brand TRX. It's a suspension trainer. You just close. They have a little doorway attachment, or you anchor it in the doorway, shut the door, and you have a excellent piece of equipment that is very, very cheap, and you can overload it in many, many ways, and you can do a totally full body workout with it. So I am a big fan. If you are low budget and don't want to spend any money on a membership, or if you just want to get a home gym started.
Yeah, or you travel.
You travel, yes.
That's a great way to be able to get a workout in a hotel room.
Absolutely. Yeah, bodyweight, bands, TRX.
What do you think about weighted vests and stuff too?
I've never used one just because I got all the weight I need.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, give me 6 months, I'll put my own vest on.
Yeah. I am way against people running or jogging with a weighted vest.
Yeah, agreed. It's hard on the
but
joints.
go on a walk. That's fine.
Push-ups, sit-ups.
Do your body weight workout. You can overload it there. A lot of vests have like little things weights that you can take out so that you can adjust the resistance. And so that's a good way to overload your body weight program.
One of the fun things that we like to do, not a lot of weight, you put 15 pounds extra on you, and then we spar.
Oh man!
Just that constant movement.
That's tough.
It just and it makes you slower. Makes you have to react differently. It's kind of an interesting little sparring tool.
Yeah,
not all the time, but just sometimes. And I've seen basketball players do the same thing. They'll play a game of basketball with like 10 pounds added to their weight, to their weight vest.
That sounds hard on your joints though.
It does.
If you do it long enough.
Sure. Yeah.
So you have to do that responsibly.
Right.
Like my daughter is actually doing some basketball drills at home right now with a weighted basketball.
Oh yeah.
To build her shoulder strength and her proprioception and just her being able to grab and grip and catch,
right.
Just finding her body in space with a weighted ball. And we're doing it responsibly because I can tell when she starts to get tired, and then I'm like, she's gonna end up with that thing in her nose.
Right.
And it's heavy too because I've been messing with it and playing with it and dribbling and doing stuff, but it makes you slower and makes you it's harder to do stuff. And so that's a good way to look at that.
Yeah.
I learned a long time ago, you got to respect all weight. No matter if you're underneath
Absolutely.
the bar or you got any kind of added weight to it, you got to respect it.
Absolutely.
It's different than what you normally walk around with.
Very good point. If you don't want to, if you need professional help, what I'm trying to say is, you you think maybe you have no clue where to start, or you have something special going on, go hire a trainer for one session and pick his brain or her brain and learn as much as you possibly can from that person. Get somebody that you trust or that you know knows what they're talking about. You don't have to hire them. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars for them. Go find one, pay them their $40, $50, whatever. And a lot of times somebody will meet with me and I'll understand they don't have the means to pay for monthly sessions or weekly sessions. I'll say, hey, let me get you started and I'll build a program for you, and you can come back whenever and pay me for another session when you're ready to get going again. Or you can check out our Progressive Overload Patreon page, and for $15 a month, you can get your own workout program that's tailored to you.
That's budget friendly right there.
That is budget friendly.
It is.
And we meet, and I will build a program for you, and you can get started for $15.
The funny thing too about hiring a trainer, at least for one session too, is, when it's happened to me before, I love it so much. I love working out so much, and I love fighting so much that when I see someone interested in it and they're willing to pay me for it.
Yeah.
You may not have paid for an hour, but I'll give you 3 hours of just of mouth vomit of information if someone's receptive and listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's what I do. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So if you can find somebody like that, and just pick their brain, you'll get a lot of information. But on top of that, man, YouTube is your friend.
Very true.
So just go if there's a YouTuber out there or you can tell pretty quickly whether it's quality or not just by their channel alone.
Right.
And if you find them that they're reputable, there's so much information out there for free.
Yeah. Yeah. I would trust the Progressive Overload podcast anytime.
That's a good one to follow for sure.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of really good resources out there. Free programs, free videos that you can watch. Obviously, like you said earlier, have a filter and trust your gut. If it sounds like what they're telling you is too good to be true, probably is. But there's a lot of really good stuff out there. Yeah.
Yep. So budget friendly stuff today. Budget friendly food. Budget friendly fitness. And did you realize that you can look up and down in all the pages of Scripture and you'll never see the word budget?
Really?
Really?
It doesn't come on.
It does not come up. But what does come up is the word stewardship. And so here's the biggest takeaway I have from. There's a lot of things to say about Scripture and stewardship and how we manage ourselves in managing not just our property, because you have people in the Bible that manage property for people, and they did stuff for a certain period of time and then they moved on. But one of the things that I think about is as we spend money on food and fitness, we're looking for a return on our investment, right?
Right.
Yes.
We're doing that on purpose. Nobody's holding us at gunpoint going, you're going to have to buy this or else.
Right.
And so everything that you spend, every dollar that you spend on food or fitness or otherwise, you are looking for a return on that investment.
Right.
And that's actually a scriptural concept. And I wanted to give you guys Ephesians 5:15 and 16. It says, be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. And so basically Jesus says, in that scripture, he says, redeem the time well.
Right.
And then I think that we can translate that over into our budget and say, redeem your budget well.
Yeah.
With food, fitness, your faith, time, all of those things, you're looking for a return on your investment. And if you're doing that well, then you're actually doing a scriptural concept that you didn't even know you were doing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I thought I'd leave us with that today as we wrap up. And Joe hacks a lung.
I know.
Yeah. Spreading
off the air. Yeah.
That's right. I went this way, so y'all are good.
The room that we're in is not big enough for that, Joe.
It's being filtered right now. You're fine. No, I love that because I love thinking about that, obviously with my money, but especially time, like I said. How am I using the time that I have during the day to produce fruit or produce something that's not just wasted and that's fruitless, that's not productive. And that's something that I think we talked about before, doing a time audit. That's something I need to do more often. How much time am I wasting at home? on my phone or watching TV or something like that when I could be doing something more productive and getting something in return, rather than just wasting that. But same thing with every single dollar that we spend. Is this going to produce health or happiness or feelings of pleasure? Like, just doing an audit and seeing where your money goes is really important.
Yeah, I like that. I like having that. In fact, that's probably a pretty good mindset to have even when you go grocery shopping, is instead of looking at just buying food, you're making an investment, right? You're investing in either, the quality of food for health.
Yeah.
Right.
And then equal that with your dollar amount and see where it goes.
Is this food that I buy, is this going to produce health, or is this going to produce sickness or weight gain or acid reflux?
Because then you end up spending other things to try to offset what you just did.
Dude, that's so true.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I really want to spend this money on this frozen pizza. While I'm at it, I'm going to go buy another bottle of antacid. And all of a sudden that cost doubled.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Or I'm going to have to pay for a doctor's appointment later, or whatever.
It's funny you mentioned that, because the cost of health care in your later years for not taking care of yourself is quite a bit more than the immediate grocery bill you're paying now.
You pay for it now, or you pay for it later.
Yeah.
Yep. Everything you have to pay for everything, don't you? All right. Well, perfect. Well, guys, I hope that you've enjoyed our episode today, talking about a healthy lifestyle on a budget. We've talked about our food. We've talked about our fitness, talked a little bit about faith, talked about time, equity, and all the things that we return, get returns on in that way. And so live your life wisely today. Budget yourself wisely. Budget yourself. That doesn't sound good. Budget your money wisely.
There we go.
And make good investments, and you'll see good returns. And always don't forget to thank you for investing in the Progressive Overload podcast, whether it's with your time, with your views, with your likes, with the things that you post on social media, or with your dollars. We appreciate every single bit of it, from the top to the bottom.
Coming up on a year, guys.
It's crazy.
I think this is episode 46, 47, something like that.
Yeah.
I got a big surprise coming for us, episode 52, so y'all stay tuned.
All right.
That's going to be fun.
And we got some big things coming for year 2, and I'm so excited.
Year number 2. Wow.
I know, isn't that wild?
It's pretty cool.
Pretty dang cool.
Sweet. Well, guys, y'all have a wonderful day, and don't forget to check us out on all of our social media platforms, and have a wonderful, wonderful time doing it.
Yep.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Progressive Overload podcast. We're honored to be a small part of your day. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or are interested in sponsoring our efforts, please feel free to reach out via email. Find us at progressiveoverloadpod@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe and follow our podcast so you'll be notified when our next episode drops.
And as always, you can help us reach the masses by sharing our podcast with your friends and family. And then check us out on Facebook and Instagram to follow our own personal journeys and get an inside look on our day-to-day lives.